All right, so you want to crack the UPSC exam, right? Well, today we're diving deep into something that could definitely pop up on your mains exam, maybe even prelims.
Oh, yeah.
Lithium-ion batteries and how they're impacting aviation safety.
We kind of take them for granted, don't we? They're everywhere. Our phones, laptops, even cars.
But they're starting to power airplanes now, too. And that's where things get, well, interesting.
Interesting and a bit risky.
Yeah, remember Hurricane Helene back in 2024?
Oh, yeah.
48 lithium-ion batteries caught fire after getting soaked in salt water.
That was a wake-up call for a lot of people, especially pilots.
And the International Federation of Airline Pilots Associations, IFAFALPA for short, has been pretty vocal about it.
They've even released these position papers, like warning flares, about the potential dangers.
Definitely worth a look for anyone studying for the science and technology part of the mains exam.
Absolutely.
But before we get to IFAFALPA's concerns, let's talk about why these batteries are so popular in the first place.
Well, they pack a punch. Tons of energy in a small package.
Energy dense, right?
Exactly. Plus, you can recharge them and they're super versatile. But that energy density can also be a problem.
How so?
Think of it like a chain reaction inside the battery. A tiny short circuit creates heat, which leads to more short circuits, more heat, and boom.
That's thermal runaway, isn't it?
You got it.
And there are three main ways that can be triggered, right?
Mechanical, electrical, and thermal abuse.
What do those look like in real life?
So imagine you dent or puncture a battery, that's mechanical abuse.
Makes sense.
Overcharging it or using the wrong charger, that's electrical abuse.
And Hurricane Helene, that was thermal abuse from the salt water, right?
Bingo. Any of those can set off that chain reaction and things can get out of control.
Especially on a plane.
No kidding.
So what exactly is IFALPA worried about?
Well, they've put out three main position papers, POS-01, POS-02, and POS-03, each one tackling a different part of the problem.
Okay, let's break those down one by one. What's the big takeaway from POS-01?
They really hammer home the need for safe transport of these batteries.
Yeah, makes sense.
They want stricter adherence to UN regulations, specifically UN 3480 and 3481.
Which cover things like
Packaging, labeling, the whole nine yards. What batteries are allowed on board, the works.
and I'm messing around.
Nope. And they also want to extend that 30% state of charge limit for transported batteries.
Meaning.
Don't ship them at full capacity. Keep the risk lower during transit.
Makes sense. So what about POS-02? What's that all about?
That one zooms out to fire safety protocols, especially at airports.
Yeah.
Their point is that lithium-ion battery fires are different beasts.
Different how?
They behave differently. You can't just douse them with water like a regular fire.
In fact, I think I read that can make things worse, right?
Absolutely.
So what do they suggest?
Specialized extinguishers, containment systems, even robots to handle them remotely.
Sounds high-tech.
It is. And then there's POS-03. That one tackles the worst-case scenario.
Batteries catching fire mid-flight.
You got it. They're really concerned about the cockpits, all those sensitive electronics. And they're pointing to studies by the FAA and EASA showing that our current fire suppression systems on planes might not be enough to handle these high-energy battery fires.
Especially as those batteries get more and more powerful.
Right. And let's not forget about the toxic fumes they release when they burn.
Not good.
Not good at all. So it's not just about putting out the flames, it's about protecting everyone from those harmful chemicals.
This is starting to sound pretty scary.
Well, there are solutions out there. And for those of you prepping for the UPSC exams, thinking about these solutions is crucial.
Absolutely. So stay tuned, UPSC aspirants, because we're going to explore some real-world solutions that could make all the difference. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button and give us a like if you're finding this deep dive helpful. Okay, so where do we go from here? How do we keep reaping the benefits of these batteries without, everything catching fire?
Yeah, it's a balancing act, isn't it? We want innovation, but we also need safety.
Especially in the air.
Exactly. And for your UPSC exams, you need to think about solutions. How do we solve this? It's not a simple answer, but we can look at a few key areas.
Okay, like what?
Well, let's start with the obvious. Packaging and labeling.
Right. Got to get those batteries from point A to point B without incident.
Precisely. And IFALPA was pretty adamant about those UN regulations, UN 3480 and 3481.
Yeah, they didn't seem too happy with how things are currently being done.
Not really. So stricter adherence to those is a good starting point.
So making sure every lithium-ion battery, whether it's in a device or being shipped in bulk, follows those rules.
Exactly. Proper packaging, clear labeling, the whole shebang.
Labeling could definitely be improved. I've seen some of those warning labels. They're tiny.
I know, right? They need to be clear, concise, tell you exactly what you're dealing with.
What kind of battery it is, how powerful it is, what the risks are.
Exactly. And don't forget that 30% state of charge limit IFLPA recommended.
Right, they don't want batteries being shipped at full capacity.
That needs to be implemented across the board, not just for bulk shipments.
Because even a partially charged battery could still be dangerous.
Absolutely. So we've got packaging and labeling, but what about actually dealing with fires?
Yeah, what happens when things go wrong? What do we do?
That's where specialized equipment comes in. We need the right tools for the job.
Because like you said, you can't just throw water on a lithium-ion fire.
Nope, that can make things worse. We need specialized extinguishers,
Mhm.
containment systems.
What kind of extinguishers?
They use different agents to suppress the fire, not your typical stuff.
Interesting.
And containment systems can help prevent the fire from spreading, and even robots.
Robots.
Yeah, they can handle the fire remotely, keep people out of harm's way.
So it's about investing in the right technology.
Exactly. But technology is constantly evolving, right?
That's the tricky part.
It is. So we also need regulations that can keep up with that evolution.
So they don't become obsolete as soon as new batteries hit the market.
Right. We need to be proactive, not reactive, constantly reassessing the risks and updating the rules.
Everything from how we transport batteries to how airplanes are designed.
And that's where groups like IFLPA are so important. They keep the pressure on for stricter standards.
They're the ones on the front lines. They see the risks firsthand.
Exactly. But even with all the regulations and equipment in the world, there's another piece of the puzzle.
What's that?
Public awareness.
Right, people need to know how to handle these batteries safely.
Exactly. How to pack them, how to charge them, what the warning signs are, what to do if something goes wrong.
So it's a multi-pronged approach.
Yep.
Regulations, equipment, and education.
All working together. And it's not just about aviation either.
Oh yeah, we've got electric cars, renewable energy, all sorts of things using these batteries.
It's a global issue with global implications.
And for UPSC folks, it's about seeing that bigger picture.
Exactly. Thinking critically, connecting the dots. How do we ensure this technology is used safely and responsibly?
Great question. But before we get into that, let's recap what we've covered so far.
We've talked about why lithium-ion batteries are so popular, the risks they pose, and some potential solutions.
That's a good foundation for you UPSC aspirants.
But remember, you need to go deeper than just listing facts. Analyze, synthesize, connect those dots.
Show those examiners you can think critically.
Think about the ethical, economic, geopolitical implications. What are the trade-offs between progress and safety? How do we balance innovation with responsibility?
Okay, UPSC folks, get those brains working. We'll be right back with more after this. Okay, so we've covered the technical stuff, the dangers, and some ways to make things safer. But for you future policymakers, there's a whole other level to think about. What does this lithium-ion battery thing mean for the world? Big picture.
Yeah, that's where it gets really interesting. We're talking about a technology that's tied to like every major global trend. Think about electric vehicles.
Yeah, we got to ditch fossil fuels, right? And electric cars seem like a big part of that.
Huge. But they rely on these batteries, so the whole future of transportation, maybe even the fight against climate change, hinges on how safe and sustainable this one technology is.
That's a lot of pressure for one little battery. And speaking of sustainability, what about the environmental impact of actually getting lithium?
Oh yeah, that's a whole other can of worms. Mining lithium, like any mining, can be rough on the environment if it's not done right.
What kind of problems are we talking about?
Habitat destruction, water pollution, carbon emissions, the whole deal. That's why understanding environmental regulations and sustainable mining practices is so important.
Makes sense. But it's not just the environment, right? There's got to be an economic and geopolitical angle to all this, too.
Absolutely. As demand for lithium skyrockets, whoever controls those reserves is going to have a lot of power.
Could create some tension on the world stage.
Definitely. So it's not just about the tech itself. It's about understanding all these interconnected factors, the environment, the economy, the geopolitics of it all.
It's complex, that's for sure.
It is, but that's what the UPSC is looking for. Can you analyze, synthesize, connect the dots?
Show them you can see the big picture.
Exactly. Think about the ethical implications, the economic trade-offs. How do we balance progress and safety? How do we ensure everyone benefits from this technology, not just a select few?
That's a lot to think about, but hopefully this deep dive has given you a good starting point.
We've laid the groundwork, sparked some ideas. Now it's your turn to take it further.
For all you aspiring IAS officers out there, keep digging, stay curious. The more you learn about how the world works, the better prepared you'll be to lead.
And one last thought to ponder. As we move towards this electrified future, how do we make sure that transition is fair? How do we balance technological advancement with protecting the planet and taking care of each other? Those are the questions that will define your generation of leadership.
And with that, we'll wrap things up. We hope you found this deep dive helpful. If you did, hit that subscribe button and share this episode with your fellow UPSC aspirants. Keep striving for excellence, and we'll see you on the path to success.